The manual gearbox is dying. On this episode of Car and Driver Abroad, we show you why it's worth saving with a little help from a rear-wheel drive Lamborghini Gallardo LP550 and some of the most beautiful Italian roads you could ever hope to see. Outside of the big cities in Italy, life goes slow. As the morning mist clears, tiny villages gradually come to life thanks to cafes serving coffee so strong it's thick like syrup. And nobody seems to do much of anything. But Italians like some things to go fast. This is Supercar Country. And for the past 5 decades, these hills have been the stomping ground of test drivers from Ferrari, Lamborghini and latterly the likes of Pagani too. But the supercar is changing faster than life around here, and the biggest casualty is the one thing that used to be central to any great supercar, an open-gated manual gearbox. The Miura and Countach had them, even the baby V8 powered Jalpa, and mastering the manual box was a key to unlocking the real magic of these cars. Now you just flip a paddle. Only one Italian supercar still allows you to honour that fine tradition. The Gallardo LP550 is Lamborghini's entry-level supercar, and at $194,000 it's around $30,000 cheaper than a Ferrari 458 Italia. Of course, a base model Lamborghini still has a 5.2 litre V10 with 542 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. There's nothing entry-level about the performance figures either. 0 to 60 comes up in 3.6 seconds and a quarter mile in 11.6 at 124 miles an hour. It won't quite do 200 miles an hour, but 199 is enough most days. Lamborghini must be the least nostalgic car company in the world. In fact, being radical is deep rooted in their DNA. But whether by accident or design, this Lamborghini Gallardo has become the last true Italian supercar still available with a manual gearbox. Sadly, customers very rarely, almost never spec them, and this car could be the very last manual gearbox Lamborghini for the foreseeable future. But this is one instance where the customer is most definitely wrong. So this is the LP550-2, that's 2 for two-wheel drive. And just as legendary Lamborghini test driver Valentina Balboni likes it, this car has got a 6-speed manual box. It's the last of the old school supercars. So we've brought it to the Raticosa and Futa passes near Bologna, proper old school supercar roads. So what is it about the open-gated manual box that's so magical, and why do we think it's such a tragedy that it's disappearing? Well, partly it's this metal-on-metal noise which is so evocative. Partly it's the sense of control you get when you're driving a manual car. But most of all, it's the satisfaction you get when you nail an absolutely perfect gear shift. In truth, some of those old supercars that we all daydream about had horrible heavy gear shifts, but this is different, light, fast, and so easy to use. Weirdly, it makes Lamborghini's paddle shift e-gear system feel really cumbersome and old-fashioned. Of course, some paddle shift gearboxes are brilliant, for example the one fitted to the Nissan GTR, and they are undisputably quicker across the ground. But cars like this are so fast these days that losing a tenth here or there doesn't feel like a huge sacrifice at all. So how old school is the LP550? Well, this basic car came out the best part of a decade ago, so its underpinnings are ancient in supercar terms, but it certainly doesn't feel outclassed. The ride is very, very hard, and it's not adjustable unlike a Ferrari 458 or a McLaren 12C. But the performance is still mega, and this V10 sounds fantastic. The chassis balance of this rear drive Gallardo is brilliant too, and I mean it's really, really brilliant. Four-wheel drive Gallardos tend to understeer quite a lot, and although this car's got a little bit of push built in, it's really easily overcome. So let's talk about that balance. This car does everything. For the most part, it feels grippy and neutral, really hooked up. Push harder and there's a bit of understeer. But go beyond that and then it's all the oversteer you could ever want. fit with its rivals. Its natural rivals, I guess, are the Ferrari 458 and the McLaren 12C, although this is quite a lot cheaper. This is the cheapest car Lamborghini build, a manual gearbox, steel brakes, which are lovely, much better than Lambo's ceramics, which are often really grabby. Rear wheel drive, it's a really basic package. Well, I don't think it's anywhere near as quick as the McLaren across the ground. Nothing is, basically. And it's probably not as quick as the Ferrari either, but it sounds just as good. And its chassis is just as adjustable. I'm really surprised. Gallardo's always felt a bit clunky, but this box and rear wheel drive in combination has totally changed the character of the car. It is the supercar bargain. It's still a ridiculous amount of money for most people, but it is the supercar bargain of the moment. It's late autumn in Italy, and these are the last days of sunshine. And on these roads, I'm not sure I'd rather be in anything else. This car has been so much fun today, much more than I expected actually. There's just a delicacy to it that Gallardos have never had before, and I really, really like that. This recipe of a supercar with an open-gated manual box might be falling out of fashion very, very quickly, but on the road, it is still an incredibly compelling experience. The great tragedy, of course, is that when this car's gone, you won't even have the option to experience it ever again.